Hello, welcome to today's training session. Today's topic is dedicated to how you can empower your employees to enable them to maximize their performance, productivity, and thus profitability for your organization. My name is Ethan Chazen. I am a New York-based organization development coach. This is yet another video in our ongoing series on human capital development to benefit your organization. So let's dive right into your toolkit. These are the immediately actionable best practices that I've come to the conclusion are most effective for your organization based on 20 years in corporate America, serving many organizations, as well as the past 15 years as an organization development coach. So without further ado, let's dive right into your toolkit. So the first thing I want to talk about is the delegation of authority. Many organizations that I've consulted with seem to have a bit of collective hesitancy to delegate responsibility. And I think it's an interesting reflection on the fact that many of them just don't seem to trust the people that they've brought into their organization to give them not only tasks, not only work, but also the responsibility, the ownership of getting the work done. It somehow flies in the face of the prevailing 20th century command control pyramid organization structure, where you only parcel out authority for work on an as-needed basis. So the first thing I would say is we need to start working on your organization's structure in terms of its philosophy around the belief that you hire the best people, you bring them in, and you want to, as soon as possible, delegate work to them, but doing it in a right way that ensures or maximizes the likelihood of success. The second is you've given them autonomy. You've created the structural integrity where you've allowed them to have autonomy, meaning you've given them the power to choose what they work on, where they work from, how they get their work done, and who they do it with, right? That's the first part. Now, the second part, providing them autonomy, is to release them of control, move away from managing them to leading them. You've set them up for success. Now give them the opportunity to rise. The third, encouraging innovation. Let's be clear. Your senior leadership team is not closest to the work that needs to get done in your organization, nor are your middle-level management employees. No, the people who are most directly in a position to positively impact the work that needs to be done are your employees who are closest to the work. So encouraging innovation means that you create a formal infrastructure. I call it an idea generation program that enables them to contribute their ideas. You fund their ideas. You give them the flexibility to give you ideas that you then enable them to act on that have two positive impacts. The first is top line, new products, new services, ways to create additional revenue, partnership opportunities. And then the second way that you encourage innovation is to solicit constantly their input, their ideas on how to streamline your operations, your policies, procedures, processes that positively impact your bottom line. So encouraging innovation is a idea generation approach to hit both areas of your business: top line, revenue growth, and bottom line, securing expense reduction and maximizing operational efficiency. Next step of empowerment is access to information. You should think strongly about conducting an audit of your organization. In terms of access to information, you want people who are closest to the work to have immediate access to information they need to make decisions, work autonomously, and to maximize their performance so that the moment they need the information they need, wherever they are, whenever they need it, they have access to it. So think about it. It flows in a 365-degree perspective. It flows, first of all, in and out of your organization. So the people who work with your vendors, partners, clients, contractors, they have access to information exchange, interchange. Cross-functionally, from marketing to sales to finance to operations. So you want them to be able to collaborate and partner together with constant access to information. And then top down, right? So typically, in a 20th century command control dead organization structure, the information typically flows, it's parceled out on an as needed basis. It trickles down from high above the mountaintop, down to middle management, to frontline staff. That needs to be blown up. It needs to flow both ways constantly. Up, down, up. So it needs to flow hierarchically. And that's why you want to remove all the layers of bureaucracy to go from a bureaucratic administrative organization, command control, to a leaner, flatter matrix organization so that you remove the time it takes to flow information. You also want to streamline across functional areas so that people partner together. And you also want to create operational efficiency to communicate internal to external, from your people to your external stakeholders. That's 4, access to information. Step 5, training and development. This is my wheelhouse. This is one of the core areas in which I consult with organizations. Training and development, executive team coaching, and consulting around culture transformation. Step 5, training and skills development, happens 2 ways. On the job, the skills that are needed for each of your people to excel in their role currently. So let's say the 5, 6, 8 primary roles and responsibilities they have ownership of. You're giving them ongoing training and development for skills enhancement through pre-recorded training. A learning management system is ideal. Micro training, which is on a specific skill set, 5 to 15-minute increments. You want to do in-person training and development one-on-one through coaching and mentoring, and you want to give them team-based training and development operational efficiency on the skills needed for success in that role. That's the first. The second aspect of training and skills development is thinking a little bit proactively. For each employee, you want to have a professional development plan. For every employee, they and their leader have joint ownership of ensuring that they grow into the future plan that you have for them. So that may be external training that you send them to, certifications, maybe attending trade shows and conferences. It may be formal one-on-one coaching with an internal mentor or an external coach. So that's step 5. Reward and recognition. Recognition and rewards is a powerful incentive, but most organizations stink at it and they fail miserably. Why? Because they don't understand that every individual is absolutely unique. Therefore, you may have 2 people on the same team, in the same department, in the same location, in the same office, same generation, same background, heck, maybe even the same university or college they graduated from, and they're diametrically opposed, oppositional in terms of what they're looking for as far as recognition. What it takes, therefore, is your organization's culture to strive very hard to understand each of your individual employees, whether you have 5 employees or 50,000, their wants, needs, desires, where they are right now in their careers, their personality, their behaviors, which is why I, as a certified extended disc coach, suggest that you do a personality assessment on all your people. And then you can offer meaningful reward and recognition to each individual employee. And here's the kicker, and your customized approach to understanding each of your employees at every stage of their tenure with you means you can adapt your strategy and style of recognizing and rewarding them as they evolve in their career journey with you. Clear communication. I should actually have this one first. No organization fails because they communicate too much. In fact, with my 20 years in corporate America and 15 years as a coach, I can say with certainty, nearly all organizations get into trouble when they stop communicating. Therefore, think about every one of your employees. Think about your 1-year communication with them. That is 365 days a year. What is your communication roadmap from day 1, when they first join you, to day 365? What is their journey with you? How do you communicate with them? How do they prefer to be communicated with? That goes back to doing a personality assessment. Do you email? Do you have town halls? What kind of meetings do you have with them? Team-based and one-on-one. Oh, Performance reviews. If you do it once a year at the end of the calendar year, you're doomed for failure. Performance input, feedback should be an everyday initiative. So clear communication is critical for your success in your organization as far as how do you motivate and empower and maximize the performance of every individual in every team at every level of your organization. Communication should flow top down. It should flow bottom up. It should flow across, and it should flow in and out. You're starting to, I hope, hear a theme that all of the best performance and empowerment issues pertain to bringing people into work collaboratively together. That's the state of the 21st century global transformative workforce. Feedback and support. Feedback isn't a constant. It needs to be two aspects. It needs to be positive, where you encourage them. They're caught in the act of doing something effective. You want to, in the moment that it happens, give them the feedback to support their understanding of what success looks like. So that's proactive. And then corrective action is when you notice them doing something that is not going to achieve optimal productivity performance. You identify them for a training teachable moment. And that's typically what we use in organizational development, what we call a STAR approach. You identify with them the situation that you observed them in. What was the task that was required to be completed? ST, situation, task. The action that they took, A, action, STA. And then the R in the STAR approach is what was the result? And remember, this is a corrective action, or you're trying to modify performance for future success. So STAR, situation, task, action, and the subpar result. And then with that, you want to present to them an alternative action and then the desired result. So that's feedback. And support is this. To achieve optimal performance for every individual, does she, he, they have the support they need when they need it, the way they need it? Well, understand, to be successful as an organization and giving all your people support, the question that begs asking is, do you customize your approach to every single employee? Because again, employees are like fingerprints. They are absolutely unique. They're one of a kind. Setting clear expectations. How do you achieve success when you don't know what's expected of you? Here's what I found in my consulting practice. Most organizations fail miserably at setting expectations. Why? Because they have a foolish perspective on this, meaning the prevailing mindset seems to be, I don't understand why we need to do this. They have a job description. They know what they're supposed to do. No, they don't, whether they're in day one with you or their 10th year with you. They don't understand what expectations are because, here's the key point, when it comes to setting and revisiting expectations, we often set them as far as your annual goals, your KPIs, or this is what's needed of you in this role, but it doesn't adapt constantly to real-time marketplace conditions. If you think of a SWOT analysis, right? The typical SWOT analysis, your internal strengths and weaknesses and your external opportunities and threats. As opportunities and threats present themselves, do you go back and reset expectations? How are you constantly helping them to not only prioritize what needs to be done, but reprioritize? So that's what comes to setting clear expectations, is not only setting them, but revisiting them on a regular recurring basis and reiterating, emphasizing them. It's a partnership. If you're not doing clear expectations for your people constantly, you're failing them. Encouraging collaboration, the state of the workforce, especially post-pandemic, as people work in globally dispersed, spread out organizations, employees are now enabled to work from home on a hybrid schedule. They can work where and when they're being optimally efficient. Well, that creates a whole new strain on you rethinking the notion of collaborative work. And I will tell you, ever since COVID, the number one challenge organizations that I consult with is this: how do we enable our people to work most effectively and work together effectively when we've created this brave new world, or in some cases, this brave new world of collaboration globally, 24/7, 365, was thrust upon us by COVID. The next piece in optimizing performance is promoting this notion of inclusivity. I want to say something that may be a little bit offensive. Most organizations do not understand why employees want to feel included. Let me explain it. It's not diversity, equity, inclusion. That's just a phrase word. It's a phrase du jour, like health and wellness, like social corporate responsibility. It's meaningless in and of itself. Many organizations claim we practice diversity, equity, inclusion to check a box in their supposed mindset, a checklist of what makes them a preferred organization. Here's what inclusivity really means. Do I feel like I belong? Do I feel a part of something greater than myself? Start backwards. Think from the employee's perspective. You have a workforce. Your organization is part of a workforce and an economy. That economy has gone through significant transformation and upheaval. What do I mean by that? Every day, tens of thousands of matures and boomers are leaving the workforce. Who's doing the work? Well, in this 5-generation workforce we find ourselves in, many of the roles in your organization are taken up by millennials born between 1980 and 1996, and what we call Gen Zs, born between 1996 and 2010. Therefore, those younger, newer to the workforce professionals have a different set of expectations and values about this thing, the supposed employee-employer contract. Younger, newer to the workforce professionals want meaningful inclusivity that encompasses your organization has a vision, mission, and values that are appealing to them based on their values. They want to come work at Chobani or Kind or Tom Shoes or Patagonia or Wegmans or Trader Joe's. You get the point. They want to work in organizations that, amongst other things, behave in a way with the communities that those businesses are in, those organizations are in, that reflect the employees' values. So when I say inclusivity, I want to know when I join your organization that you're going to act and be and have values that match mine. Now, with inclusivity to be meaningful, you're constantly asking me for feedback. Not only you're constantly checking in with me to see how I'm doing, but I want to feel a part of something, whether I'm an extrovert or an introvert or somewhere on the spectrum. I want your organization to have employees who get together, who are active, and or who share similar background, passions, interests, hobbies. That's why employee resource groups, groups of employees who get together amongst themselves to practice certain volunteer work, community engagement of certain passions, hobbies, interests. They're actively engaged together without you micromanaging. Inclusivity also is idea generation programs. Recall that I talked about step 3, encouraging innovation. This comes back to that. You want to not only have a culture that is receptive to taking all of your people's feedback, you want to create a structure and you want to fund it as a program on an annual basis. You want to create that organizational culture around constantly soliciting your people's feedback. Not once a year. That's an insult to them. Not during a performance review or an annual survey. You want to constantly have your finger on the pulse of what it means to make your people feel a part of something, which is why I would even suggest you rethink diversity, equity, inclusion and call it diversity, equity, inclusion, or here's the big letter that's often left out, the letter B, as in belonging. So that is your short list of ways to immediately create a high-performing organization by shifting your focus. You have 3 levers you can pull, right? Typically, organizations focus on strategy. That's not going to work in and of itself. They pull the second lever, which is operational efficiency. That's great, but that's not what moves the needle from transforming your organization. No, the third lever that this is all about is your people. Your people are your only lasting competitive advantage. So think people first. To maximize their performance, you will therefore increase their productivity, and thus your profitability. Thank you for your time this morning. I know how busy you are to check into a video like this. And therefore, I'll refer you to my treatise. I spent about 10 years researching all over the world the most successful, high-performing, financially successful organizations in over 200 countries, over 7,000 organizations. And after a decade of research, I came to the conclusion, all high, successful, high-achieving organizations share one characteristic: an amazing workplace culture. So my book, The Compassionate Organization, gives you a little bit more insight. Also, if you like what you've heard and you want to dive a little bit deeper, my call to action is go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, drop a like on this video, and also reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about how do you apply some of these generic employee performance strategies into your organization to help you achieve operational success. Thank you for your time today. Let's go chasing the dream for your organization's future success.